Good morning, bedheads. Click. I was a little too lazy to get up and get a different mug this morning because this is the one I always drink out of in the morning, and then I get up and get another one. I was a little too lazy because I'm running out of time before my husband comes home this morning. So I hope you're doing well. This is Coffee with Karen and in Ask the Spirit Guides. So we have a lot to talk about today. So I'm going to get started. So I'm going to start actually. So there's a bunch of things I want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about astrology being my saving grace. I have a message from the community, a couple ideas from the community that I want to share. And one is on saging. So we want to be careful with the saging that we talked about in last night's video. And this idea of a Hawaiian indigenous way that they protest. Well, they don't call it protesting. We're going to talk about that. But first I want to share the message from the SGs this morning. And then I'm going to pull out the dowsing rods because they're kind of irritating me. So, well, I said to them, I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? So anyways, our human side of things, they're in spirit. We got an ego and we have a thinking mind that can get in the way of our hearts or our souls or our spirits, right? So, excuse me. This is okay, so the last couple days, if you've been hanging out Coffee with Karen, you'll know, it's very windy out today, so you might be hearing some banging. They have said, so let's just go back. Okay, let's go back and then you'll know why I'm irritated with them. Let's go back a couple days or like a week. All right. So 4/7, so the 7th of April, they said, you're almost there. You're almost there. And I said, regarding, and they said F45 arrest. And then I said, is there a personal message? And they said, wait is over. Okay. Then on the 8th, they said, help is here. And I said, why is this message for our highest good today? And they said, hope. Okay. And then on the 10th, they said, rest assured, F45. They spelled TRUMP, F45. And I said, what are you assuring us about? And they said, arrested. Okay. All right. So that's all cool. I still have a lingering cough. Okay. So on the 13th of this week, they start going after like messages about us, right? Going after us. They start going after us now. No, I'm just kidding. So on the 13th, they say, why are you worried? And I said, why do you ask that? And they said, trust God. Okay. I'm like, okay, that's reasonable. Then yesterday they said, why are you doubting? And again, they said, trust God. So we got a why are you again today. Okay. And this is where I started getting irritated. In fact, I didn't do the law of challenge this morning, and I'm going to do it live with you because this is what we do on this channel is we're just exploring all of these ideas. There's no experts here. Well, there's experts in the community, but I'm just facilitating this kind of conversation. But so now the message is why. I'm gonna cover up what I asked them. Why are you just waiting? Why are you just waiting? And my first reaction is because you told us it was almost over. Because you've been telling us for like 2 months. Like I just told you, you're almost there. Although they said you're almost there. The wait is over. About F45's arrest. You're almost there. Help is here. Hope. They're giving us hope. Rest assured. Arrest it. Okay, so I'm like, we're waiting because you told us. That was my first reaction to them. Okay. So then I said, well, I couldn't quite figure out. I said, well, what do you mean? And I stopped there. I crossed that off. And then I said, what aren't we doing that we should be doing? Like, why are you just waiting? And so I said, what are we doing that we should be doing? What aren't we doing that we should be doing? And they said, love God. Okay. So maybe I'm not asking the right question. So you guys can tell me in the comments, What questions would you like to ask? And tomorrow morning, we can pull those, and tomorrow morning, we can ask that. So, I'm still going to pull the rods out right now because, one, I'm going to do the law of challenge just to make sure. We might, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like this is trickster energy, but let's just see. Okay. So I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, and all of those of the purest and highest light. And I ask Archangel Michael to please protect this channel and this community so it is only of the purest and highest light. Amen. Okay, so good morning. All right. So I'm going to do the law of challenge. So the law of challenge is if you ask 3 times, this is a spiritual, one of Jesus's spiritual laws, according to the book, The Golden Future. Okay, so that's why we're dabbling in this idea. So although it seems to be working, because I've done it before and they have told me no. So so if you ask 3 times, what I'm going to ask, they are required, the higher realms are required to give you an honest answer, okay? Or whoever's communicating with you is required to give you an honest answer. Okay. So in the name of Christ, are you of the purest and highest light? Yes. In the name of Christ, are you of the purest and highest light? Yes. In the name of Christ, are you of the purest and highest light? Yes. Okay. Now, some of you are going to say they didn't stop swinging in between. Well, I can tell the energy, even though the rods are, so I can just, I can feel that. So that's just how I communicate with them. Okay. So we do know that we are getting messages from the purest and highest light. So that's good. Sorry. I woke up late and I haven't had time to drink enough water and that's why my lungs are dry. Okay. All right. So with that said, why are you just waiting? Well, don't you have the same reaction? Well, because you told us they were coming. That's why. Didn't you tell us they were coming? Didn't you? Yes. Didn't you tell us help is here? Yes. So... Okay. I don't even know. Okay. So your message this morning was, why are you just waiting? Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Are you finding, because this is a message for the community, you guys, this is a message from our spirit guides, not just mine. This is a message is this a message from the collective teams of all the spirit guides in this community? Yes. Okay. So this doesn't mean you personally, but it could be. It could be me for sure. That they're speaking to, or collectively, Are you saying that there is a certain percentage of those in this community who are not leaning on God right now? Yes. Okay. So are you finding that a certain percentage of this community is leaning more on fear? And I'm actually going to talk about that in a minute, you guys, from a human perspective. Okay, so they said no. So okay, so let me ask that again. Are you finding that a certain percentage of this community is leaning only on fear? Okay, good. So no. Okay. So are you finding that a percentage of this community is leaning on human action, let's just say, rather than going into spirit, rather than trusting their own tuition? Yes. Okay, yes to all of that. Okay, so why are you waiting when you say love God? Are you wanting us in this community? They're already saying yes. They know what I'm going to ask. To continue the work on ourselves. Yes. And because if we work on our inner selves, let's just say, our inner selves, that's where we're going to find God. That's where we're gonna, yes. Okay. That just came to me. So because we're working on shadow work, and this is for anyone to do this however you want to. Okay. Doesn't have to be done shadow work. So are you asking more people in this community to start working on their inner selves however they decide to do it? Yes. Okay. So why are you waiting? Okay, this is all coming to me. Okay, now I get it. Sorry I yelled at you guys. So sorry I was annoyed at you. Um, because so many of it's okay, let's just find out what percentage. It has to be a fairly high percentage of those in the community. So admit it. Are you not working on your inner selves right now? Who are you? I'm working on my inner self only because I'm working with the spirit circle here, doing the sacred shadows. So, okay. So is it more than 50% of the community that's not finding time to work on their inner selves? Yes. Okay. Is it more than 60% of the community? Yes. Is it more than 70%? No. Okay. Okay, guys, let's get going. All right. So, what I'm picking up just from life experience, okay, this could be downloaded to me. I have no idea. I don't hear anything or see anything or anything like that. So, it's just my intuition that they are waiting. This is such an amazing time for inner work because there's so much going on. There's so many things triggering us that it's the most amazing time for inner work. Okay. So if you're not finding this time to do inner work, what time would you find? Because there's just so many triggers, right? So they're asking us, which is very interesting. And I think if each of us would start looking inward, we still will do the outward stuff. I'm not saying don't do the outward stuff. And I don't think they're saying that. Are you saying to only do inward stuff? No. Okay, so you're saying find time for both the outward and the inner stuff. Yes. Okay. So because we're not shopping as much, right? And whatever it is. Okay. So 60% of the community here are not finding time, which I get, especially depending on what's going on in your life. I get that. Like if I was working full time, it would be, you'd have to rearrange some things, right? Because you're trying to take care of your physical body, you're trying to eat healthy, you're trying to take care of your space, which takes energy and time. You're trying to take care of your families and maybe not take care, but just be a part of a family, a community, your job, whatever. It's a lot. It is a lot. So, and I think they recognize that, but so I think and I'm not, there's a part of me that wants to say, though I can ask them, but there's a part of me that wants to say, once enough people are working on their inner selves, then help will be here, So let me just ask. So is it more likely that the more of us who work, they're already saying yes, but the more of us who work on our inner selves, our inner child, our shadows, our, just going to therapy, getting that stuff out of you, the more of us who work on that, then things will start to change collectively. Doesn't that make sense, you guys? Yes. Okay. See, things can't change collectively until each of us start changing. So that makes sense to me. That is a very powerful message today. So hopefully this encourages you to find the way that's going to work for you, whether it's pulling out, spending time in a bullet journal, doing what we did last night to, we worked on spiritual messages for hard times so that you can lean on those. That's for reflection time. You could do, and I want to do this together soon, leave it behind intentions. You could do a trigger log. What's triggering me right now? And why am I being triggered? And diving into that, why am I being triggered? Because that's what's gonna, once You have to uncover what's triggering you before you can let it dissolve and let it release. Okay. You have an onion inside of you. Okay. And I wish I had my shadow workbook here, because one of the exercises that we're doing in the spirit circle asked us to draw a picture of what our shadow looked like. So I drew a picture of a human, well, just the top torso, not the head or anything. And because I feel heavy here a lot, and since my 20s, or probably even before then. So I identify this as my shadow, because once I started doing shadow work a couple weeks ago in the spirit circle with the workbook, I have been feeling less heavy. And so I drew this picture of it, like here's like I just drew a little tiny dot and then layers, right? So we have all these layers. So if you think of it like an onion, this isn't an original idea, the onion idea. I don't know who to attribute it to, but so you know how in the onion it has that little piece and then it just keeps peeling. So right now, depending on where you are in your inner work, you got to start with that top layer, right? Once you get that top layer out of there, or you look at it and recognize it and see it for what it is and honor it, because it's in your body, honor it as a part of your life experience so that it doesn't hurt you anymore, okay? Then you can peel that layer off. Now you're down to the next layer. I think that's why people are afraid to do shadow work. Maybe you tell me, because I know some people are afraid to do it, because I think people think they're going to get to that core right away and it's just going to be too much. I don't think so. I think it's going to be it's a layered process. Okay. So if you think of it like an onion, the idea would be to get down to that core. Because if we can get to that core, and I don't know if it's possible to ever get to that core, because, I would guess it is, but there's a part of, that's where, but here's the thing, like if every layer just gets peeled off, then the onion is this big. It's tiny onion. So I don't even think like the center necessarily needs to be more significant. It's just maybe your onion, some people's onions are this big and some people's onions are this big, but you're all going to start with that first layer and peel it. Okay. When you get down to the bottom, you're going to be so used, or into the core, you're going to be so used to this peeling, you're going to want to keep going, because you're going to be like, oh my God, I can breathe again. That's kind of how I feel, like I can breathe again. Maybe because, I've talked about having acne my whole life, just little breakouts or whatever, which Venia from MyNDE from A to Z, I'll post her channel down below, says she has never had a pimple in her entire life. I'm like, wow. I can't even imagine what life would be like without having to deal with that. Anyways, it'd be so amazing. But I know it's a part of, it could be a little karma for me. Maybe I made fun of somebody who had bad skin in another life. I don't know if it's that simple, but it could also do with these layers. So I'm hoping, maybe it'll clear up once I kind of clear these layers. And if you've had physical pain, maybe you'll start to see some physical pain dissolve as you dissolve these layers. If you've had emotional pain, definitely you'll start to see some of this stuff dissolve. So what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Now is the best time. I think we're all waiting for F45 to stop triggering us and be the hell gone. Just go away. Go away. And then we'll work on our normal selves. But the thing is, we probably won't, because we're not going to be as triggered. So right now is the best time. So why are you waiting? Why are you waiting? Okay. All right. That turned out way better than I thought it was going to be. You guys have to understand that I get these little messages and then I come on and I talk about whatever comes out of my mouth, basically. I have no script here. So I don't know. Knew I was going to say to you is what the message was, and that I was annoyed with them, and then I was going to see where it went. So interesting. Okay. I will have to say a few other things. I will have to say that astrology, Okay, I don't really like to sit and watch the charts and know all the names and stuff when the astrologers talk about that kind of stuff. But I do like to see the big picture of why, like when they explain what's coming up and the changes that we're going through from an astrological perspective. That I love because that's real big picture stuff. So, my saving grace right now when it comes to F-45 and all the stuff that this fascist regime is wanting to unload on society is that Neptune. Okay, so that's why I say astrology is my saving grace because I have thought to myself, especially the last couple days with this, like, why are you worried? Why are you doubting? Well, maybe I'm worried and I'm doubting because this happened in the 1930s and they were trusting God back then. I literally had that thought the other day, is they were trusting God back then and it still happened, right? Yeah, maybe that's what people decided they would go through. I don't know if the whole soul contract thing is like a thing, but maybe, I don't want to go through that again. Like we already went through that as in humanity and we see it starting. So that was my thought process the other day. Like, well, why are you worried? Why are you doubting? Yeah, because we've seen this before, right? However, then I come back to this is where understanding the big picture is really helpful. Astrologically, it was a different time, astrologically. So now we are moving in to this is a big deal, which is why I got space in my bullet journal. Neptune is moving into Aries. Now, do not ask me what the hell that even means. I don't Neptune and Aries. I don't even no. I don't even know what that means. I mean, are there planets called Neptune? I honestly, that's how ridiculously stupid I am about it. Okay. But it doesn't matter to me. I don't need to know those specifics. I just need to know what's the bigger picture. Okay. That's my learning style. That's my Myers-Briggs type. Okay. That's an N, intuitive. That's the Myers-Briggs versus S, sensing. Now, the sensors are like, tell me what Neptune is and tell me what Aries is. Well, you're in the wrong place for that. Okay. So, the beautiful thing about Neptune and Aries, this is the next 40 years. Now, and this is where I put all these kind of connect the dots together, is that's what big picture people do is they connect the dots. Okay. And the next 40 years is roughly like puts us at 1965 or 2065, right? So the golden future and so many other people have talked about what the 1930 or the 2030s are going to look like. Sterling, I'll post his videos, her channel below in the description. He's a medium. Do you guys know he works in LA too? That's amazing. Like he works on the Academy Awards and stuff, so that's amazing. He was a producer and stuff. But if you watch him, he calls it the Great Reset and it'll be accomplished by 2050. Okay, so this is all making sense astrologically. So Neptune in Aries, Neptune will be in Aries for the next 40 years. Okay, Neptune is in Aries from March 30th, which was my birthday, March 30th. So that's kind of fun that it started on my birthday. It will be there until October 22nd. It'll leave, I don't know, it does some adjusting. Who cares about the adjustments? It just does some adjusting. This is big picture, people. I am a strong intuitive N on the Myers-Briggs, clearly, because I really don't care about the details. I mean, I do sometimes, but not here. So then it comes back. So it's gone. I don't know. It shifts. It's gone between October and January 1st. Now, so for those of you who understand this, like the details of it, you want to provide it to the community, that'd be amazing because people will look to those comments and then they can learn from you. Okay. So on January 1st, which I love, it's January 1st till March 2039. March 2039. Now that can't be right. That doesn't seem like 40 years. Well, anyways, I put next 40 years, so I must have the date wrong. Neptune will be in Aries. And this is why it's important. This is why astrology is my saving grace. Because one, it's the rise of the divine feminine. So that's why we're seeing some, shake up right now, because the overriding the masculine and the feminine energy has been imbalanced for thousands of years. Imbalanced. Well, now there's no choice. Humanity. I'm not saying men. It's just, we don't want to look at it that way. Humanity is adjusting now to the rise of the divine feminine, where there will be more of a balance. Okay. So that's why I think part of why we're seeing so much panic from masculine energy. And that just means, like, again, not just men. There are women who are reacting to this rise of divine feminine as well. It has to do with structures that were built based on the divine masculine. That's kind of how I interpret it. Okay. So the Neptune in Aries leans towards socialism, which is a good thing. It's all the things that Bernie is asking us to do for his agenda. Healthcare for everybody, free education for everybody, higher education. That's basically what that is. And spiritual activism. Spiritual activism is a part of Neptune and Aries. The veil, Neptune and Aries, the veil drops on scandals, lies, deceptions, deceit, media. So all this stuff has to fall apart, which is what we're seeing. We're seeing them panic and try not to get it to fall apart, but it is going to fall apart. Okay. We are going to be our own spiritual leaders. We have sovereignty over ourselves. That's all I've got so far for Neptune and Aries. I've been meaning to watch some more videos so I can learn, and I'll continue talking about this, okay, as big picture stuff, okay? So this being our own spiritual leaders and that we have sovereignty over ourselves has everything to do with that inner work that our guides are saying. What are you waiting for? Why are you waiting? So there are 40% of this, there's 40% of this community that's doing that right now. 60% of you are not. So that message is for you. Why are you waiting? Okay. I love it. Because that will be really, really helpful for humanity. The more, look at, I matched today. The more we are working on ourselves. Okay. All right. Just a few other things. I'm not going to do a full card draw, but I have 3 things from the community, comments from the community. Okay. So I haven't looked into this fully. So this is just an FYI. Last night we did a video. Again, I'll post it right here. Okay, no, I'll post it right there at the end of this video. It was spiritual messages for during hard times. Okay. So I highly encourage you to watch that. The other one I would love for you guys to watch is I have a video that I did yesterday afternoon. I'll post it right here. It was community action, and it was helping Mr. Garcia, who is in the El Salvador prison right now. Okay. So it would be amazing, the more people who could. And there's also a clearing of victim energy in that video for you. Okay. Because this is a victim energy that we're all feeling when it comes to him and anybody else who's been taken. He's the representation. Okay. Well, anyway, so part of the video that I'm going to post right here was one of the ideas for when a spiritual message for during hard times, which was this. Okay, so that's what we filled out yesterday using cards. And one of them was about clearing and smudging. Okay, so smudging, like clearing your areas, doing clearings that we offer on the channel here. We did a clearing, like I said yesterday. So doing those kind of clearings, that's all part of inner work. So taking the time to do that, and then smudging. Now, I happened to catch a comment. Somebody had said, because I'm using, I think it's sage. I guess I'll have to double check. I just assumed it was all sage because I don't know. I got this at a spiritual store. Like it's a little stick of, I don't know. I thought it was sage, but maybe it's not. So somebody had offered that sage smudging clears all negative and positive energy from your space. So I don't want to do that. So I got to make sure what I have is not sage. So this comes from, it's Allie, y'all. It's Allie, y'all. So she had mentioned Palo Santo smudging, PALOSANTO, two separate words, smudging is only negative energy. So I'm going to make sure I get some of that. I'm going to read up on it first and then, okay, so that's a good suggestion from the community. The other suggestion that we got, which is amazing. So somebody had posted, Bibby Haley, thank you so much for posting this. Okay, so this was found on Threads. So she found this on Threads, okay? And it says, so somebody had said, hi everyone, want to make a suggestion about wording that is taken straight out of the Indigenous Hawaiians activist playbook. I love this so much, okay? That we refuse to use the word protester when referring to our activism and activities, particularly when talking to the press. The Indigenous Hawaiians realized a long time ago that words matter, totally. And the word protester is triggering in the American context. It's a triggering word, right? So they now insist on being referred to as protectors. I love that. We were saying persistence, but I want to say protectors. So rather than, we are now protectors of American democracy. So when you are going to an event on Saturday, call it a protection. We are going to a protection. We're not going to a protest, we're going to a protection. And if we could all write to, okay, so then she said, this was implied in the message, it takes a critical mass of people to do this, but once accomplished, it changes the entire dialogue. It changes the entire dialogue and perspective in our favor, okay? So words do matter. That's why I have a really hard time. I'm watching people who are the activists and they're using the word fighting and against, and we gotta really work on helping them understand, not challenging them in a negative way, but just helping them understand that language means something, because we don't want to fight. We don't want to fight. So let's just, if we could all email 5051, so spell it out, 5051, and to suggest the change. If 1,000 of us could suggest that change, then maybe they would stop calling it a protest, okay? And we could call it a protection of American democracy. And we are going to a protection. We are not going to a protest. We're going to a protection because we are protectors of American democracy. Love that so much. Thank you for sharing. Again, it's amazing to me because I catch, 30 comments a day out of all the comments, which is a lot on the channel. And I tend to get the ones that I believe that I get the ones I need to get. So the last thing I'm going to say for today, my husband's about to get home soon. I mean, not that I can't record when he's here, but I like to say good morning to him. This was a card that we got during the video that I'm going to post right here. So a spiritual message. The beauty of that is RSGs, I asked them collectively what cards they wanted us to use last night for that. And they wanted us to use the inner effing peace cards, which frankly, we're going to use these way more often. I'm keeping them in my drawer, whether the SGs tell me to use them or not, because they're so funny. Thank you, Faye Wells. Our community is getting great delight out of these. At least most people are. I don't know about everybody. But anyway, so we had this amazing, I got to see who this was from, comment about this particular card. Okay. So this is Michelle Kelly. Is that right, Michelle? Yeah, Michelle Kelly. So it's funny because I worked with a Michelle Kelly. One of the cards for a spiritual message during hard times, we wrote down on our paper, was a wise woman. So this is your message for today. A wise woman once said, "Fuck this shit," and she lived happily ever after. Okay. Then the back of the card says, "Seriously." Okay. So Michelle Kelly said, so this is what we're all going to walk away with today. I'm a wise woman or a wise man. So fuck this shit. I'm living happily ever after. So turn it into, yeah, I am a wise woman. I am a wise man. So fuck this shit. I am living happily ever after. That was amazing. All right, you guys. I hope this was helpful today, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Have a great one. Bye bye.